Hello, Spartan fans, and welcome to another edition of the Spartan Sideline Report here on NSUSpartans.com. I'm Ross Gordon, the play-by-play voice of the Spartans, joined by Mike Bello, Assistant Sports Information Director, and we'll be joined shortly by the head coach of the men's basketball program, Coach Anthony Evans, as well as junior point guard Jamel Fuentes. Another sweep of MEAC conference play over the weekend for the Spartans, starting with Coppin State. On Saturday, it was a 75-68 victory for the Spartans, and then on Monday, a closer 73-71 ball game. But nevertheless, the Spartans are continually finding ways to win.
Yeah, and it's almost kind of funny because it's like their calling card is they'll come out to a big lead, did that against Howard, and then, let the teams get back there in a little bit. But to be 6-0 in a conference, you can't argue with that. And to be resilient as they are, to even when all those teams make those runs, they still come out on top is boding well for them as the season goes on.
11-10 now on the season for Coach Evans and his squad. Now 6-0 in conference play. That's probably the most important thing now, going down the stretch and working for conference seeding and going into the tournament. Win these first 6 games, especially the way the Spartans have won it, and the fact that 4 of them are on the road is pretty big for them.
Yeah, and to jump out that, like you said, ahead, no one else is. I think Central was maybe 4-0. So all the teams are chasing us now. So now we control our own destiny. We don't have to worry about looking at the scoreboard page, seeing what other teams are doing. We know that as long as we keep doing what we're doing, we'll be fine.
A few moments ago, I said we'll be joined by Coach Anthony Evans and Jamel Fuentes, and indeed we are joined by Coach Anthony Evans and Jamel Fuentes. First of all, Coach Evans, this weekend is always a huge weekend because Coppin State, they bring you different problems because of their defense and what they do defensively. And Morgan State, just a team that matches up well with us, and we match up well with them. Talk a little about the matchups coming into this weekend and how you think we fared.
Well, Coppin State, they're always going to play multiple defenses. Fang Mitchell's one of the best coaches in the league, and he's going to switch it up on you, and that's what they did. We were able to penetrate the zone in the second half and get some easy shots. I thought we were complacent in the first half. I thought we settled for too many long jump shots, and it hurt us. But the second half, I thought we took control. In terms of the Morgan game, Morgan's a big physical team. I thought they came in ready to play. We took control of the game in the first half. I thought Maurice Phelps had a really good first half. And in the second half, I think we went cold. They played zone. We got complacent, stagnant, and we started shooting long jump shots. So, they made a run. They got back into the game, but we were able to finish it off with some free throws.
And Morgan State is a game that they out-rebounded us by a lot. We didn't have Gaston out there, but our defense played well. Forced 29 turnovers. That hadn't happened in close to 5 years. So just talk about the defensive effort against the Bears, and especially sparking you down the stretch there when you guys weren't shooting well.
I thought when we're aggressive, we can come out and pressure. It's always to our advantage because I think we have quickness, over other people. So we were getting steals, we were getting out. The only thing in the second half, we weren't converting. We weren't finishing plays, and that allowed them to hang around even though they were getting second shots. So once we start doing that, I think you'll see a 16-point lead turn into a 25-point lead. And those are the things we're concentrating on.
I think one thing that we're looking at now, Coach Evans, for this team is now we have a rotation that's set. You know what you need from each guy. Even guys that weren't in the rotation that had to step in are making contributions. It seems like this is the point of the season where you want your team to come together like that, and it seems like it's coming together exactly the way it's scripted.
Well, it is. It is. Again, Maurice Phelps has only played his 9th game, so trying to work him into it, has been a little difficult or not so much just experimenting. And he came out and played well. So we needed that because we needed another wing player to step up, and he did that. But the rotation itself is starting to come together, and guys are playing well and fitting in.
And speaking of stepping up, you've had several of your guys, especially going into conference play, have really started to step up big. Penny's had about 8 or 9 straight games in double figures. Rob Johnson's really played well. Brandon Good, all of a sudden, the last 3 games, he's come on. Talk about their play. Do you feel like they're starting to turn that corner into becoming the all-MEAC type of players that they're capable of?
Well, I thought, with Penny, it was going to take him a while just because of the need and confidence. But it seems like he's getting his confidence. He's got his stroke back. And, he's playing well for us. He's playing like he's supposed to. And Robbie's been playing well for us pretty much the whole season. There was a stretch where he was struggling a little bit, I think just because of fatigue, because he was playing so much. And then Brandon Good, that's the Brandon Good from the Rhode Island game. And that's what we were looking for. And as long as he can do that, he's going to help us become successful.
We welcome in junior point guard now for the Spartans, the guy that gets it all started, Jamel Fuentes. First of all, welcome to the program. And second of all, it's now starting to get easier for you as a point guard because now guys are, you know where guys are, and guys are now hitting the spots, and you're getting them in them rhythm. Talk a little bit about now the offense and how it's working and how we're doing so well.
I think the offense is flowing a little better because I'm being more patient now. I think early in the season, or not even early in the season, but a couple games, sometimes I forced it or wouldn't, like I would go and it wasn't nothing there. So I think I'm starting to be patient and actually executing and focusing on executing because I know that's what we need at the end of the games. Like, as you said, we get out to big leads, but sometimes teams come back. And when they come back, you need to execute at the end of the game. That's what matters, who executes the best. So, I mean, I took that personally. I think as a point guard, you got to execute. And it's your job to make sure that your team executes. So I just think we're executing a lot better.
As I mentioned with Coach Evans, Jamel, a lot of the guys are starting to step up. Going into conference play, obviously that's what you want to see people do is step up their game. As a point guard, being out there on the floor, what have you seen out of some of those guys that makes you think that, hey, these guys are capable of carrying us all the way to the a tournament win?
I mean, I see constant growth. I see constant growth. Brandon Good has been playing very good of late. Like I see growth. I see consistency in Robbie and Malcolm Hawkins. We didn't speak too much on him, but he's aggressive. Penny is starting to get his stroke back. We're all starting to get it. So I mean, I could definitely see because we still have a lot of room to grow. So I could definitely see us making a run and actually shocking somebody because we have a lot of room to grow, and I think we're a pretty good team. So.
You talked about the depth this team has, and at the beginning of the season, we were sort of buying our time until we got to a place where we had a true point guard backing you up, and now we do with Maurice Phelps. Talk a little about what it's like playing against him in practice and going against him because he reminds us a lot of you. You're fast, both fast guys, can handle the basketball very well, and it seems like you don't lose much when either one of y'all are on the bench because you really complement each other well.
Oh yeah, I mean, me and Maurice have a good relationship. Like we're good friends, so I mean, of course, in practice we push each other, we talk trash. I'm saying, you want to get the best out of your teammates. You want to bring the best out of your teammates. That's how everybody is, kind of, and that's how we got to be. Like if you want to win, you want to be successful, you got to get the best out of everybody. You got to bring the best out of everybody. But it's definitely good seeing Maurice start to play very well, and I mean, I like the fact that he's on the team. He helps us a lot. He's another playmaker, another shot maker. I'm saying he just brings a lot to the table, and it's beneficial to our team, and I like what he's doing for us.
You were talking about earlier about you guys still have room to grow. Obviously 6-0 in the conference is pretty good. What do you think would be the biggest key for you guys down the stretch of the rest of the regular season to continue the hot start you've gone?
I think a big key is practice. When you practice hard, you learn certain things, and certain things just come natural. So I think we just gotta keep practicing hard and keep working on executing. And I think we need a killer mentality because we get up a lot, and a lot of times we lay back and teams start to catch up. We always pull a win out, but I think a killer mentality is something that we're lacking. I think if we keep working and keep putting in that effort in practice and keep up our defensive effort and our rotations and just keep our focus, I think that we'll be very good.
I think one thing as we move on here on the Sideline Report, I think one thing that we look at now with teams, they come in, they give us their best shot. And because we were the conference champions last year, and this year we're starting off well. Talk a little about this next matchup for us as we take on Hampton on Saturday, because you also have the heightened intensity of the fact that it's Hampton and Norfolk State. Not only the team that they want to be where we are, but they're also a team that's 15 minutes down the street. Talk a little bit about the matchup since you've been here and how you feel it's going to be this year.
I mean, every year against Hampton is big. It's a rivalry. So, I mean, even if you don't think it's that important of a game, it's fans that are going crazy. You see it everywhere on Twitter, the Hampton game, everything. Like, this game is like a highly advertised game. So even if you don't get up for this game, you have no choice but to because it's going to be packed. The atmosphere it's a rivalry game. And, of course, in the MEAC, it's kind of funny because you really never know what can happen. Like you can lose at any moment if you take anything for granted or take for granted your opponent. So, I mean, we're just focused on what we have to do and coming out, working hard, and picking up our defensive pressure like how we do. And as long as we do those things, we'll be fine.
And, Coach, looking at Hampton, what kind of matchup problems, what do they do well that's going to pose a challenge for you on Saturday?
I think they're similar to Morgan. You know, they're a big team. They have some guards who can shoot it, who can get to the basket, and then they have some bigs. The kid Bruce is a pretty good player inside, and then they have another guy coming off the bench who's giving them some post production. On the perimeter, they have Jasper Williams, and I think they're being led by freshman Deion Powers. So, you know, they're a talented bunch, and we're going to have to come out and give that effort defensively to pull the game out.
Coach, you look at this Hampton team, and they remind you of a couple teams that we played right before, Coppin State and Morgan State, because they're a team that don't have the wins in numbers like maybe we have, but they played a lot of close ball games. They've taken a lot of good teams down to the wire. How do you prepare your guys for this moment? Because it's not just the game when it comes to Hampton. It's everything else that comes with it.
Well, again, you know, as Jamel said, you can't worry about what the record is. You know, you go into this game because of the rivalry. They're going to be excited. Both teams are going to be ready to play. I mean, it's going to be a packed house. So I don't think they're going to look at they don't have the wins. You know, it's something that we want to accomplish. We want to continue this streak, and we'll go out there and play well.
When you have a rivalry, obviously it's easy to get pumped up for the game. What do you have to do, and what do you have to tell your team to make sure that they're not too aggressive, too pumped up, and, you know, going out and just shooting bad shots? You know, what do you have to do to keep them kind of under control a little bit?
Well, just be focused. Go out there and execute our game plan. You know, obviously it's going to be a heightened atmosphere, and somebody might go out there and shoot an air ball. But, you know, we'll call a timeout and try to calm them down and move forward.
Coach, this is the last game. We get a break on Monday, and then we go to Baltimore, two teams that we just faced last weekend. Talk a little about your preparation for just this 1 week game, and then next week you get a little bit of a break.
Well, it's good because now we'll get a couple of days off, and I think the guys need it. So the total focus is on Hampton. And then once we finish that, again, we'll take 2 days off, and then we'll start concentrating on Coppin and Morgan as we did last week.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Jamel. And don't forget that the Spartans will return home, as we mentioned, to take on Hampton University this Saturday at Joe Eccles Hall. Game time is at 6 p.m. Be sure to keep up with all of the news surrounding NSU athletics by logging on to the web at www.nsuspartans.com. We'd like to thank the NSU Creative Services Department and Coach Clark and Ava Pam, as well as Coach Anthony Evans and Jamel Fuentes for all of their help today. Until next week, you've been watching the NSU Spartan Sideline Report on nsuspartans.com.